Hello, I hope I'm in focus. I was having a hard time with the focusing on my camera recently, but I hope it's all good. I can't really tell. I hope it's all good. I'm in the greenhouse, and it is November 13th, 14th. I think it's November 14th, and I am just prepping for some wreath making. I make wreaths every year from wood, branches, oranges, pine cones, berries, like whatever I can forage and find. And I've made them for myself for years, but I also have run a few workshops for wreath making. I'm not a professional by any means, but I just love working with plants and foliage and arranging things and whatever, which is why I run my flower stand in the summertime, because I love growing things and working with just the nature around me. So yeah, I'm running a wreath making workshop at my church again this year, and I'm also in charge of making 6 wreaths for my church for like decorating all around. And then I'm also going to be selling some wreaths in my flower stand this year, and this is the first time I've ever done that, but I posted it on like our local page that I was going to be doing that, and I actually had loads of people messaging me asking about prices and where I was located and whatever. So I think I've got a lot of work ahead of me. This is probably going to be the most wreaths that I've ever made in a season. So I'm a little bit nervous. I'm prepping now. I tend to not have wreaths made until the last week of November or the first week of December, simply because they won't last until Christmas if I make them too early, because it's all natural. I mean, they'll last, but they'll be dry and they won't look as nice. So I'm just prepping my stuff now. I have a bunch of willow here that needs to be stripped of its leaves, and then I'm going to be soaking it so that I can weave it into rounds, like rings. I also have some like metal hoops that I'm going to be using as well, so it's not all going to be the same structure or frame. I think I'm going to make quite different styles of ones for different things this year, but I'm really looking forward to playing around with it a little bit more. I am quite stressed about the amount that I have to make, but if I start now and I make myself organized, I think it will be okay. The other thing is, I'm pretty sure my daughter is now dropping her nap. So normally, she's almost 2.5. Normally she'll nap for 1.5 hours to 2 hours every afternoon from like 1 till 3-ish or 1:30 till 3-ish. But I think that's over, because this whole week she's just been hanging out. Here's the monitor. Our house is just there. I'm not very far. She's just been hanging out in her bed for like an hour, singing to herself, reading to herself, which is good. That's great. But it definitely, I wonder how long that's going to last, or she's going to tolerate being put in bed, knowing that she's not going to fall asleep. So I'm a little bit worried that I'm going to run out of time and daylight, because I can do this in the evening when she goes to sleep, but I don't have any lights in the greenhouse, so I kind of have to be working in here when it's daylight, and so it's a little bit difficult. We'll see. I'm praying that she's just going through a little bit of a regression, and then she goes back to having her regular naps, because I find that really helpful to get things done during the day. Anyway, so I have my willow here, and then for my wreaths, I tend to use cedar as the main greenery, because we have loads of it on the property, and they need to be trimmed every year anyways. So I have some of my cedar here, and tiny little cones on it. That's really easy to work with, and it's not very rough on your hands. But then also, I think this year I'm going to put in some fir as well. This is Douglas fir. And I've done this a couple times before, but fir definitely sheds its needles a lot more. Like it becomes a bit more messy after it's dried. So then cedar, as you can see, these needles don't really come off very easily, whereas these ones do. But I just wanted to share this with you, and I've shared this on my Instagram a few times before, but I just found this really helpful when I was learning to identify trees a little bit more. The Douglas fir tree, this is the cone. This is the cone of the Douglas fir tree, and there's this story, and I think it comes from the indigenous people of where I'm from in British Columbia. I'm pretty sure the story comes from their tradition, but I'm not totally sure. I'll have to look it up. But there's this folk story about these mice that asked permission. It was a harsh winter, and a mouse asked permission from a Douglas fir tree, is it okay if I take some seeds from inside your cone? And the fir tree said, sure, as long as it's just you, as long as you don't take too many, as long as you're not greedy, I will share my seeds with you. And so the mouse crawled on top of the tree and crawled into the cone and took some seeds. And he went back to his home and he told all his friends, we can take the seeds from the Douglas fir tree. And so all these mice come running to the tree, and the tree gets angry and it says, I told you, little mouse, that I only wanted you to take a few and to not be greedy and tell all your friends. And you did, and now you're all here. And so while the mice were inside the cone of the tree snapped the cone shut and trapped the mice inside of its cone. And to this day, you can see little mouse bums and tails sticking out of the cone of the Douglas fir tree. Right there. And that's how you identify a Douglas fir. And actually, Douglas fir is probably one of the most common conifers that we have in this area, so there's loads of them, and my daughter has learned to identify the cones as well. So when we go on hikes, she's like, oh, here's a Douglas fir cone, it's got the mouse tail sticking out of it. So it's really fun. Anyway, that helped me a lot when I was trying to identify trees, especially conifers, because they can look really similar to the untrained eye. So there's still a lot that I get mixed up. Anyway, I'm going to be doing cedar and fir on my wreaths, and I have some oranges drying in my dehydrator right now, so they will be ready on time for Christmas. I think I'm going to see if I can forage a few berries, and then obviously I'll have loads of pine cones as well, and I need to get some ribbon for the bottom. So yeah, I'll strip some of these now. I listen to a lot of audiobooks while I'm working on this type of stuff, and I recently finished Finding the Mother Tree by Suzanne Simard, and that's the second time that I've read that book, and it was fantastic. It's just so good. It's got like her memoir and the history of the logging industry and scientific research when it comes to mycorrhizal fungi, and it's beautiful, and it's local as well. Like, the author is from British Columbia and did her research kind of in my area, so it's a really interesting book. But now I'm shifting completely, and I'm listening to Surprised by Joy by C.S. Lewis. And I've read a lot of C.S. Lewis in my life, but this one I haven't read or listened to before, so it's brand new to me. And I'm using the Libby app, and if you don't know anything about the Libby app, it's just the library app. I'm pretty sure it's in every country. It can't just be Canadian, but you just link it to your library card, and then you can take out books either to read or to listen to on your phone. Sometimes you do have to wait for things to be available to you, kind of like as if you were placing a hold at the actual library. But I listen to pretty much everything for free. This is obviously, Libby's not sponsoring me or anything. I'm just letting you know about the Libby app because I know so many people don't know about it. You can listen to audiobooks for free through your library and your library card, and then it supports your local library. So if you don't know, now you do.
Natural behavior, which I thought it my duty to adopt and adopt. And that had come about in a sufficiently amusing way. Reading much and mixing little with children of my own age, I had, before I went to school, developed a
She's definitely not asleep, and I kind of feel mean just leaving her in bed. She's not complaining. She's laying down. She's singing to herself. She gets up every once in a while to play, but she's not complaining. I don't know. I'll go get her up. I did not get as much done as I hoped that I would, but that's okay. Baby mushrooms? Hello. I fear this lighting may be dreadful, but it's December in British Columbia in the Pacific Northwest, and there's not a lot of daylight. And the daylight that we do have is absolutely drenched in cloud. So we're actually on flood watch right now. Our town today is the 10th of December. And yeah, our river is incredibly full of water. It is absolutely pouring rain. And yeah, the city is on flood watch. I live on the mountain, so I am okay, but I am waiting to hear if some of my friends who live down by the river need to be evacuated because they are going to come up here if they do. So hopefully it won't come to that. Last time we had a big flood like this was 2021, and I was actually still living in England at the time, but I was visiting home for a wedding, and so I did get stuck in the flood, and our whole city kind of turned into an island for about a week. I think it was a week, where all the roads in and out of town were flooded, so we couldn't leave the city. And one of my friends who works in the hospital in the town next over had to be helicoptered to work every day. The hospital provided the service to get their nurses in and out of work every day. But yeah, anyway, that's what happened last time. And I was fortunate enough, I guess, I was here when I shouldn't have been. I should have been in England during it. But I happened to be visiting during the time of the flood, so that was crazy. So I'm hoping that that doesn't happen again, because a lot of farmers lost their animals in that flood, and a lot of people lost homes and things. So anyways, we're praying that it doesn't come to that. But if you're in Washington State, you may also be suffering from a lot of flooding at the moment, because I've seen footage of some of the towns down there that are also really flooded. So yeah, I'm thinking about you guys and praying for you if you're from Washington, because we are in a similar boat at the moment. Anyhow, it's pouring rain outside, and I thought I would just quickly update you on a few knitty things that I've been doing. So I've been working diligently on that sort of hodgepodge textury sweater for my friend's 2-year-old, and I finished the body yesterday, and I just did a mid-project block. So it's on my blocking mat right now. I'll show you in a second, but I wanted to block it because I want all the stitches to sort of even out and the textures to bloom a bit, the ones that are kind of scrunched in, and I want to be able to clearly see where I need to pick up stitches for the arms. So I blocked it first so it looks a bit more even for me to be able to pick up stitches evenly. So I'll show you. Hopefully the lighting isn't horrendous. Okay, the lighting is slightly horrendous, but maybe you'll get the gist of it. I don't know. Can I turn this up a bit? So this is the front, and yeah, I finished it. So I'll walk you through kind of what the textures are. Oops. Try to not make too much noise as I'm doing this, so there's not fiddly noise in the background. But yeah, this is I've sort of walked you through, I think. Yeah, I don't remember how, maybe I was here last time. I updated in the last video, but we've got some small cables here. I can't remember the stitch count that I did for the cables, but then this is the smocking stitch here. This is a seed stitch or moss stitch. Here I did a waffle stitch texture from the waffle loop scarf. That's this. And then I did the same cable motif here as I did here, but I increased the amount of stitches in the cables, and then I alternated the direction of the cables, so they're leaning this way, and these cables are leaning that way, so they're going into the sweater. When I got down here, I did a sort of like honeycomb-esque stitch that I got out of a book that I have, an old book. It doesn't really show up really well on this yarn, because the yarn that I used is Barocco alpaca, ultra alpaca, I believe, and it's a 2-ply. So cables don't really show up too well on it. These ones weren't bad, but the ones down here definitely didn't show up as well as they could have if I had used a yarn with more plies in it, which is fine. I don't mind the look of this. I still think it looks like a fun little texture, but it doesn't look like the picture in the book. And then I did another moss stitch over here, and the back is completely different. I can't show it to you right now, obviously, because it's on the blocking mats, but everything in the back is different. So at all times, I was working 4 different motifs when I worked in the round, because from the armholes you work in the round. So all of this from here down, I was working 4 separate motifs as I was going in the round, which was quite a bit to keep track of, but I made sure that I didn't have multiple complicated ones or multiple ones where I needed to use a cable needle in one round, because that would have just kind of drove me mad. So that's why I did things like the moss stitch, because I just needed a break from having to like think a lot and keep track of which rows I was on. Yeah, definitely for this one, and then for the smocking stitch at the top, those are the ones that I had to really keep track of my rows the most. And the cables, actually. This one was easy to tell which row I was on. I just had to glance at it and I knew what I was doing. And then same with the moss stitch, but some of these I really had to keep track, like how far am I and which row do I need to do like the thing, the cable or the smocking or whatever. So yeah, that's that. Once it dries, I will pick up stitches for the sleeves. His birthday is next week. Is it next week already? I think in a week and a half, perhaps. So I can definitely finish 2 toddler sleeves in a week and a half. That's no problem. A couple of other things I've been working on. My dad actually requested a knit from me, which is kind of exciting because he's never asked me for anything. I've knitted him things before, and he's been minimally enthusiastic about it, about the ones that I've gifted him, but they weren't things that he chose. This time, he actually asked me to knit him something that is his own request. So I hope he actually likes it. And he also chose the yarn for it out of my stash. So I will tell you. So you should know first that my dad is actually an incredibly silly person. And so he told me that when he was young, a child living in Northern Ontario, he had a hat that was sort of like a Santa hat style, like with a little point that kind of droops down, but it wasn't a Santa hat. He doesn't remember what color the hat was, but it was like a knitted hat, and at the end of it there was a little bell, and he said that he has good memories in his childhood of shaking his head and ringing the bell, and he wanted me to recreate the hat for him. So he is in his mid-50s and really wants a little hat with a bell so he can shake it as he walks. So he chose the yarn, and he chose some of the yarn that I got at Knit City, actually. So if you watch my Knit City haul video, then you'll have seen these before, but I'll insert a picture of them together. This was originally supposed to be stockings. I bought it with the intention of knitting stockings for my family. That hasn't happened yet. It is December 10th, so I'm trying to sort of not put pressure on myself to finish those in time for Christmas, because I don't think that there's any possibility of me doing that now. Maybe in another year I will have yarn left over, but I'm going to start with knitting him this hat and then see how much yarn I have left. It's fine. It's fine. So the brim of the hat is knitted up in the Ancient Arts yarn, so it's going to be double folded like this. And then the pointy part of the hat is going to be in the Les Garçons yarn that I picked up also at Knit City. So these together, this one is a little bit more itchy than this one. So he wanted this one, but he didn't think that it would be very comfortable on his forehead. So we decided to go with the brim with this color and then this on top. And then I have a tiny little bell that I'll attach to the end, and he can whip his hat around and drive my mom crazy as much as he wants to. So that's what I'm working on for him. I started that a few days ago. I'm not really using a pattern for it. I'm just kind of making it up as it goes along. I've knitted enough hats. I know how decreases work, so I'm just gonna, try it out. Anyway, that's that. The other thing that I am not working on yet, but am thinking about, is that I still have to get a Christmas gift for my husband, and he is quite hard to shop for because a lot of the things that he really likes are a lot of money. He's not a very consumeristic person at all. Like, he doesn't have a lot of things. He doesn't need a lot of things. He doesn't value like receiving gifts super much. Like, he doesn't care that much, but the things that he actually does want are quite a bit of money. He has a little bit of an expensive taste when it comes to things that he wants good quality things and not a lot of little things, and he's not a trinket person by any means. So it's sometimes hard to shop for him, and his birthday's at the end of October. So I always kind of put all my energy into his birthday, and then by Christmas I'm scrambling. But I found this pattern that is a free pattern online. I haven't actually downloaded it yet. I should download it. But it is the Bike Helmet Earmuffs by Kristin Briney. And it's basically like a little cover that goes over, like on the inside of your bike helmet, to cover your ears when you're cycling. My husband actually cycles to work every single day, apart from days like today when it's absolutely chucking it down with rain. But even on cold days, like all times of the year, if it's not snowy and it's not pouring, then he's cycling to work. He's a high school math teacher, and he yeah, he does get cold on his bike, but he also doesn't like wearing like a toque or a hat like this underneath his helmet because it shifts his helmet around a little bit. So I thought that I would knit him these. They're not the most stylish things in the world, but they'll keep him warm, and he doesn't care about style. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I don't think it will take me very long. I think this will be like a 1 to 2 days worth of knitting type of project, and it'll be perfect. I think he will really appreciate this. I just have to find in my stash a nice soft yarn that he will appreciate because he's quite sensitive to itchy wool. But I'm sure I have it in my stash somewhere. I just need to find it. I've still been working on my wreaths. I've been putting my flower stand out, not every single day because it has been quite stormy, and it's not that my flower stand is not like it can be fine going out in the weather. It's that people don't stop to buy things from the stand if it's pouring rain outside. So I don't bother putting it out in the rain. But I have sold some wreaths. I haven't had any stolen, so that's good. I had a lot of bouquets stolen in the summertime, and I was really nervous about the wreaths, but I haven't had any stolen yet. I am still going to be working on them a little bit, just filling in a little bit of time before Christmas. But I assume that most people who would want wreaths or decorations like that have already decorated by now. It's the 10th of December. Maybe I'm wrong, but I will put some out for a few more days once the rain clears up a bit, if it does clear up, and see how it goes. But it's been really fun. It's also been a lot of work. My mom and I were talking a couple days ago, and we said that maybe next year we'll just have a booth at one of the Christmas markets and sell our wreaths there so that we can just make a bunch and have it kind of be done on a weekend rather than spread it out, because I'm finding that now that I've been doing it for like a month, like preparing all of this stuff and like continuously making wreaths and then having the stand out some days and not other days, I'm losing motivation. I feel like if I just like did a big bundle at once and sold them all at once and at one location at one time, then I would enjoy it a lot more. So I don't know. We'll test that out next year, I think, if we manage to be able to get a spot at one of the markets. There's a lot of Christmas markets at different farms and different locations around our town, so I think I have a few to choose from. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been really fun doing it this year. We got our Christmas tree at the Christmas farm last weekend, and we had to trim the bottom of the tree, and so I've been using those branches in my wreaths as well. So it's fun kind of getting a bit more creative with the greenery, and yeah, it's great. I also ran the workshop already. That happened at my church. I didn't take any footage or pictures of that. That didn't have people's faces in it, and I don't have permission to show, so I won't. But it was a lot of fun, and I think the women who came had a lot of fun doing it. So yeah, I'm really glad that it worked out really well. I'm really losing daylight now. It is 3:37, so yeah, the sun sets at 4:05, I think now. We're nearly at the winter solstice. So almost the darkest time of the year, pretty much the darkest time of the year. And my daughter is actually napping today, so hurrah! It's been so hit or miss, but today's a hit. Here is my updated workstation in the garage. So we've got my flower stand over there, and we've got our moss that we collected that I moved into that bin, a bunch of greenery, some from the forest, some from our yard, some from our Christmas tree, more greenery, one of the wreaths that I made a few days ago, and I was selling it in the stand. I put it in the stand a couple days ago, but it didn't sell. I'm going to put it back in for tomorrow if the rain slows down a little bit. And then I've got all my ribbons there. I've been making these bows from the ribbons. I've made so many of those. This one is also like that. There we go. And I've got some oranges, some pine cones. So those are the metal rings I purchased, and then all of these ones here I made either out of willow or grapevine from my mom's garden. And then these ones I also purchased. So I've been using all three of those for different styles of wreaths. And my mom actually set up this little station for me. She put these bins here and this plank to be my little work desk in the garage for a temporary work desk. Also, my daughter has her little wagon, so she comes with me to collect things, and she decided to collect branches with lichen on them. Let's see if it'll focus. There we go. So she really likes lichen. She is a lichen lover. She loves to point it out on the trees, moss and lichen, but especially lichen because it kind of has like a sort of minty color, a lot of the different varieties. This one is sort of more dried out. When they're wet and more alive in the forest, they have more of a vibrant color, but she really likes lichen. So how many times can I say she's a lichen liker? She's a lichen liker, lichen. Yeah, anyway, not that many times before I mess up. So I don't know if I'm actually going to use them for the wreaths at all, but she thought that would be, apologies. She thought that would be a good contribution.
Hey, snow! Hey, snow! Where are you? Where are you? Everyone is waiting. Start to fall, start to fall.